What up, everybody? Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. The stock market is crazy and chaotic, and I made it my mission to help you guys own it. I've been doing this so long. That's how I started out. I wanted to make it my mission to help you guys own it, but you guys help me own it too. I got to figure out a rebranding of that, but you guys help me own the chaos as well. It's a group effort at this point. You guys have been awesome. And listen, the reaction to CPI today has also kind of been interesting. I want to take a look at this real quick. So the S&P 500 is just barely in the green. It's been teetering all over the place. It was super volatile on the reaction of CPI, and it is just barely in the green. The Dow just barely in the red, and this is how it's been. The NASDAQ, however, is moving in the right direction. That's up 0.73% right now. It's up 86 points, and I think that is worth noting. If you guys caught my video that I put out last Friday talking about how I felt really bullish on the market and gave my reasons as to why. And then I even put a video out last night talking about CPI and how I think everybody is just overly worried and overly hyped on a poor CPI reading, and that small caps and tech stocks is worth going after because of just how far down they are. 20% of tech stock, small cap tech stocks are still down 75%. That gives such a great opportunity. And I think a lot of people are just afraid to get back into the small cap tech stocks because of what has transpired over the last 2 years. Well, today we're going to see how that continues to play out with Airbnb and Upstart. We also have Devin Energy, TripAdvisor is in there as well. But Airbnb and Upstart, these are two small cap tech companies that could end up having a continued move. And I say continued because Airbnb is up 10% over the last 2 days, and it is insane, the kind of move that this stock has had. 43% almost year to date. Since January 1st, it's up 43%. This was a stock that I had put on Stock Watch Sunday. If you guys aren't privy to what Stock Watch Sunday is, I'd encourage you to go check out the link in the description below. Each and every Sunday, I put out a list of 5 stocks that I think are worth watching. Airbnb was certainly on one of them. It would have paid for the service because it's only $5 if you guys would have joined the Chaos Crew. So I'd love to have you guys over there at the Chaos Crew. Go check out the link in the description. Please join me there. Also, just letting you know, when we get to the close, when we start to react to these earnings, I'm going to close off public chat. I'm going to close it off to just my Chaos Crew members as well. If you hit the join button next to subscribe, you can continue to engage and react to the stream. But just giving you a heads up, I got to show my love to my Chaos Crews, my loyal supporters. And so hit the join button next to subscribe. It's $4.99. It really isn't that much, but it just helps support the channel and it keeps you coming back. Would love to continue to have you guys a part of the community and help grow the chaos that way. It is really been an interesting day, and give me your guys' thoughts on this. You know, what are your thoughts on how things are transpiring, where things are going within the market? I'm really curious to see how this all shakes out with these earnings. You have Airbnb, and here are some of your expectations for Airbnb. I'll go ahead and pull up the chart for Airbnb for those of you folks that want to see the chart. Here's your 5-minute chart right now. There you go. So there's your 5-minute chart on Airbnb, and it's just another monster day. And if we break this out to the weekly chart, it has been nothing short of incredible since its bottom down here back in December. So it didn't bottom like everything else back in October. No, this one actually bottomed in December. So I think that this could potentially be the beginning of a run. I say that because if we close above the 50-day or 50-week moving average, this is your weekly chart, the 50-week moving average, this could get really exciting really quick. I'm going to remove these technicals. These are so annoying. I don't know why they're always on there. But if we take a look at this, it could potentially close over the 50-week moving average. That's something we haven't seen out of Airbnb since April of last year. So that could get really exciting. Not to mention that this is already breaking a downtrend on Airbnb as well. So I'm really pumped by this. I'm really excited for Airbnb. And for those of you who are also holding this stock, you guys should be excited about it as well. Looking at expectations here, they're expected to come in 27 cents per share on earnings and revenue to be about 1.86 billion. Many analysts are optimistic about Airbnb stability. ability to capitalize on strong travel demand in the U.S. The company has beaten earnings expectations in 6 of the last 8 quarters, which has contributed to its stock price rising by over 40% this year, which is crazy. Not all analysts are bullish on Airbnb, though. Some are concerned about the company's valuation and whether it can sustain the demand for its rental properties. There are also concerns about supply of available rooms as international and urban travel continues to recover towards 2019 levels. We're already seeing that in a lot of areas. The company's guidance will also be important, as always, and slowing bookings growth impacted its stock price after its last earnings report in November, so that'll be important to watch. And then Q4 weather and strong dollar will be factors to watch as well. Remember, and I think this is a bit of a cop-out, to be honest with you. Expedia last week talked about weather being a problem for them when it came to their earnings. I cannot, I mean, I guess I kind of sort of get it, but when you have other travel-related stocks, travel-related companies like Marriott and Hilton that come out and they don't have to worry about blaming the weather on traffic on their earnings, right? Like, I just feel like it's a cop-out. I hope Airbnb doesn't go that route. We'll see. Then you have Upstart, okay? This has been a company that has had some really amazing highs and just terrible lows. This was a $400 stock back in October of 21. It's now sitting at 1674. It's up quite a bit. This is your weekly chart. It's up quite a bit from its December lows at $12.01. So it's up to 1672 year to date. It's had quite a decent move, I would say. We take a look at its year to date performance, and it is up around 30.5%. Upstart, if you guys don't know, they use artificial intelligence to match borrowers with lenders. This is an AI play that a lot of people might not realize is an AI play. They're going to release earnings as well. The company has recently staged a strong recovery after its stock price fell more than 95% from that 2021 high. There's still a lot of short interest on this. If you guys haven't checked that out, the short interest is 40%. Okay, really strong short squeeze opportunity here, in my opinion. If they follow through with earnings, and that's a big ask from them because the last couple of earnings, it's been pretty terrible. The company has already laid off 20% of its staff due to challenging market conditions. Analysts are projecting revenue growth of a loss of 56.5% for the upcoming quarter, with a mid-range outlook close to the company's guidance. However, even pessimistic analysts project a recovery in Upstart's revenue growth by the third quarter of 2023. So again, if that does happen, real big short squeeze opportunity here. The market is positioning for a weaker than anticipated result from the company. So this could also be one of those things where, it's so bad it's good, meaning that if the earnings are bad, if they're not as bad as what people thought, then we could see a decent sized rally. Many bottom fishers taking risk off the table. And despite negative sentiment, there is still the potential for Upstart to surprise investors, surpass analyst expectations. Investors should pay close attention to the company's ability to execute and recover its profitability. Has anybody taken a look at Keeping It Real? Thanks so much for becoming a Chaos Crew member. Appreciate you, brother. There's 62 of you guys in here. For those 62 of you watching, first of all, hit that like button if you're enjoying the stream so far. I will be closing off the stream to channel members only, so make sure you hit that join button next to subscribe if you want to be a part of the stream and just help support the channel. It's $4.99 a month. If you guys are already watching every day, help support me in that way. I certainly would appreciate it. Cinestyle says PAL doesn't matter, earnings doesn't matter. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but just reading some of the other comments here. Just buy the dip and hope there's no black swan, says Cinestyle. I think, well, I mean, and honestly, if you believe that the markets are going to be bullish moving forward, that's what you would be doing anyway. You buy into the market because there is no real glaring issues that you see. Nobody can really predict black swan events accurately. So, I don't know. We'll see. Danny Alvarado says Upstart will shit the bed like a firm. Is a firm being shorted like that, though? Out of curiosity, let me just check out a firm's short interest. According to Seeking Alpha, the short interest on a firm is at 17, almost 18%. So Upstart's double that. I'm not saying Upstart is a quality stock that you need to buy and hold forever and that should be held up to the standards of like Apple, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is this could be an interesting short-term trading opportunity because if Upstart comes in and beats and surprises a lot of people with that 40% short interest, watch out. This was a $400 stock back in 2021, which means that also the share structure here could also be very small as well. I haven't done enough due diligence on that piece of it to see what the share structure is on Upstart, but you can just kind of look at the price action and be able to tell that there isn't a whole lot of shares to go around. So if 40% of them are shorted, this has the ability to go nuts if they come in with a decent quarter. Again, that's a big if. That's a big ask. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. Upstart's expected earnings per share is a loss of 47 cents, $132.73 million in revenue, one upward revision to 3 down. Last time around, they came in and missed a loss of 16 cents. They missed by 16 cents. And looks like they came in a loss of 40. So this time they're expecting, the street's expecting a loss of 47. Came in at $157.23 million in revenue. The expectation this time around is 132. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, man. I'm actually kind of looking for it. I know Airbnb is the big headliner, and rightfully so. And this could all go to shit, right? If Upstart comes in and just disappoints like they have. But if they don't, if Upstart doesn't, Bodie Beard says 81.88 million OS on Upstart. Thank you for that. So that's not very big. That's not a lot of shares to go around for a company that's trading at $16. Danny Alvarado says, I got 40 puts on Upstart. Money I'm willing to lose. Yeah. 40% of Buddy Beard says 40% of Upstart's held by institutions. I wonder if that's short and long, or if that's just long positions held by institutions. I'll be curious by that. To be honest with you, I have no idea how to look that up if there's a resource for that. Shock City Rocker says could be worse. Argentina hit 99% inflation. Is that a real number? Holy hell. Savvy Social Show. I'm assuming that Savvy Money Show says Upstart is what I'm watching for my house share. So Savvy Money Show has free shares on Upstart, and nice. Okay, yeah. There's some. So let's get back to Airbnb real quick. We have Devon Energy that's also reporting in TripAdvisor, and we can react to those. I doubt Devon Energy usually doesn't have a strong reaction to earnings, but let's get back to Airbnb real quick. I'm going to pull up Airbnb's 5-minute chart, and we can just react to this. Again, if you guys aren't a part of the Chaos Crew, $5 a month, you get access to stocks that I'm watching that I think are going to make strong moves. You're looking at this after Airbnb has already moved 10% since I brought it up. It's moved 40% this year so far, since the first of the year to date. 6 weeks, the stock has moved up 40%. I still think it has potential to continue to move up. Many of you might argue that this stock is overvalued. And from a valuation standpoint, if we're just going off of PE, I couldn't agree with you more. You're absolutely right. It's 45 times next year's earnings. That's expensive AF. Okay? Here's the thing, though. 51% year-over-year revenue growth. 51%. Forward revenue growth, 40%. The growth is extraordinary. Operating cash flow growth year over year, 80%. Those are ridiculous numbers. One's worth paying a premium for, in my opinion. So it's overvalued if you're just looking at it from a forward PE standpoint. But remember, we can't just go off of PE all the time. There has to be other factors. So I think that there's potential for this to actually have a really strong move to the upside. And just judging by the poll, looks like a lot of you guys actually bought this going into earnings today. That's always, of course, a huge risk. Looking at the poll, 40 of you have voted so far, and 25% of you have bought going into earnings. 22% of you plan to potentially buy after earnings. Some of you sold before earnings, before today, and 20% have had it for a while and are continuing to hold through. Prince Batar says, "Do you still have your $200 pen calls?" No, they expired last year, I believe. So no, I do not. Pen is my pain, says Anton Sigursky. It's been a lot of people's pains. Right along there with you guys. Right along there with you guys. Last year was a tough year for everybody, and I was not immune to that. Got 131 of you hanging in, and more people rolling in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move everybody to channel member only chat. If you guys want to become part of the conversation, hit that join button next to subscribe. Would love to have you guys as a part of the Chaos Crew. Just had one person show up into today, but would love to have you guys support me in that way and hit that join button next to subscribe, become a channel member. And looking at Airbnb right now, no real strong movement just yet. We'll continue to keep an eye on that. Our market is officially closed. Upstart just got halted. Interesting. See if there's anything on Upstart right now. Let's check out the Twitter machine. Upstart just got halted. Lots of people shorting Upstart, according to Twitter. Gosh, remember that infamous Mark Mahaney clip about him trying to save face when he didn't know what Upstart actually does? No news on Upstart right now, but they have been halted. Interesting. Okay, as soon as we get some numbers from them, be happy to check that out. All right. Checking back in with Airbnb. That stock is already starting to move. I believe those numbers are out. Remember, this stock closed up 4% today, almost 7% yesterday, and now it's up another 2%. So let's check in on Airbnb as that stock seems to be moving. And we'll come back and revisit Upstart whenever those numbers come out. Upstart, if you guys are just joining, had been halted. I don't see any numbers from Airbnb just yet. Gosh, see a lot of people that put out puts, bought puts for Airbnb going in the earnings. Talk about risk. Whew. Super risky on that. Nothing there either. This just looks like some very typical after hours trading in anticipation of earnings. We'll check in on a couple other ones. TripAdvisor also had earnings today. That doesn't look like that's moving much either. Devon Energy also had earnings today. Nothing there to speak of either. Airbnb is now up 4%. All right, these numbers got to be in. That is, it's up another 4% after hours here. These numbers have to be in. Let's give her a little refresh here. Still, there we go. Revenue came in 56.12 billion. Remember what I had said on earnings per share expectations. Let's see here. 1.86 billion was the estimate. Let me just double check. 56.12 billion estimated. 55.24 was the, sorry, 56.12 is the actual. Estimated is at 55.24. Q1 revenue 7.32 billion, the estimate of 7.3, so that is also a beat. Solid numbers so far preliminarily for Airbnb. And again, these are it's still early, but it looks as if they came in at 48 cents per share, which is a monster beat. The 33 we were expecting 33 cents per share. It looks as if they indeed came in at 48 cents for Q4. Q4 revenue 1.9 billion versus 1.86. Okay, so these are the numbers. Q4 gross booking value 13.5 billion versus 13.58. That is a slight miss. Q4 additional EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA of 506 million versus 435. That is a strong ass beat. Q1 revenue 1.75. Sees adjusted Q1 revenue so this is your guidance. 1.75 to 1.82. The estimate was 1.68. So they blasted guidance numbers out of the water. Wow. Stock is now up another 7.25% after hours. Airbnb, if it opens up like this tomorrow, will be up 50% year to date. Can you believe that? Holy hell. Absolutely wild. Hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying the stream so far, but those are your Airbnb numbers in the early stages here. If you guys want to be a part of the conversation, hit that join button next to subscribe. We'd love to have you guys as a member here on the channel. Help continue to grow the channel as well as our community here. So hit that thumbs up. But my goodness, those are your Airbnb numbers. Absolutely insane. Also, make sure you're sticking around to the end of the show. I will take some phone calls towards the end here. If you guys have questions about today's earnings or anything else for that matter, we can have a discussion on that. But Airbnb came in and smashed earnings, guys. And the real big story here so far, from what I'm seeing, is the guidance. TripAdvisor looks to be moving on that news as well. That's up another 3%. TripAdvisor is. Upstart still suspended, by the way, and Airbnb is still flying. My goodness. Jeez. That is insane. Absolutely wild. If you guys are enjoying the stream so far, hit that thumbs up. Just wanted to cover a couple more things on Airbnb. Let's see what else we got here. Just to reiterate, Airbnb crushed Q4 earnings. They came in at 48 cents, beat the estimate by 21 cents. Revenue of 1.9 billion, 24.2. This is according to Seeking Alpha, 24.2% year over year. Revenue, they beat by $40 million. Gross booking value of 13.5 billion, 20% year over year for gross booking value. Nights and experiences. This is what I was saying about Expedia. I thought Expedia's earnings were absolute bullshit, especially with some of the excuses they were giving towards like weather and all that. Like, come on, man. Like, give me a better excuse than that. Clearly, Expedia just couldn't figure out their quarter. No idea what went on there, but Airbnb is crushing it. Nights and experiences booked 88.2 million. That's also a 20% increase year over year. Average daily rates, or ADR, was $153 in Q4, a 1% fall from Q4 2021, excluding the impact of foreign exchange. ADR in Q4 2022 increased 5% from Q4 in 2021. Airbnb sees Q1 2023 revenue, so that's the current quarter that we're in, 175 to 182 billion. The consensus was 169. So just absolutely crushing guidance numbers there. So Airbnb just doing the damn thing, man. Now up 9.5% after hours and climbing. This is wild. Keeping It Real says, I'm really surprised that Airbnb did so well because all you hear about is how they have empty rentals anymore. You know, there's this I'm convinced, keeping it real, that whenever you hear the noise in mainstream or whenever you hear an overwhelming level of sentiment in social media about a particular stock, it usually means it's time to go the other way. And that's good or bad, right? You see a stock that gets overhyped on social media, and you see it all the time on YouTube, right? I mean, remember the AMC bullshit, right? Same thing. When it became overhyped and you had people stopping you on the street talking to you about AMC, that's when it was like, all right, it's time to go the other way. Right? And I feel like that's kind of how it was for Airbnb. Same thing. You started to hear a lot of negative sentiment just on social media and even in mainstream media. CNBC didn't have too many nice things to say about it either. And so I think it kind of almost like makes you feel like maybe I should just zig when everybody else is zagging. TripAdvisor is reacting to this news as well. It looks like those earnings may have come out. I'll see if I can't pull those up. But man, what a move for this. Congrats to any of the longs on Airbnb. This is an absolute monster move here. And by the way, just as a reminder, I did end up, and I'll open up the chat back again. I'm gonna have to figure out the channel memberships because it's awfully quiet in here. I feel like I need you guys reacting with me on this. I'm gonna open up the chat to everybody. There you go. Everybody can chat now. I'll figure out members mode only in a little while. But let's go ahead and check out Upstart, revisit Upstart. Remember, Upstart was halted right after the close. Looks like they came in earnings per share actual, a loss of 25 cents versus a loss of 48 cents that was expected. Revenue came in at 147 million versus 132 as expected. So they smashed earnings as well. Guidance, Q1 guidance, 100 million versus 158 million. That's probably going to crush the stock. Let me check back in on Upstart's move. Stock's still suspended, still halted here. That guidance number is absolute shit. They came in and crushed their earnings expectations for the quarter, for the quarter that we're reporting on. Guidance is not great. Ninu says, holding on to Airbnb bag and happy the bag is a treasure now. Yeah. Tara Sweat says, I worked at an Airbnb pre-IPO and it has been a lot of up and down, so I'm loving this. So I'm assuming that means that you've had Airbnb shares since their IPO. Is that right, Tara? Just assuming. RS says, I wish I could have bought more Airbnb. John Cochran says, why did they halt? Talking about Upstart. I think Upstart always halts based on whatever news is coming out. Taiwan Semi went down due to Buffett reducing holdings. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Nick Westet says Airbnb is a money-making machine. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Somebody went all in on Airbnb today. Wow. Upstart was halted last time as well until earnings call 16 minutes. Was it really? I don't remember. I mean, I remember them being halted. I don't know how. I don't remember how long. Look at Airbnb. It's still flying. It's up 11%. If you guys are just joining the stream, first of all, hit the thumbs up. I certainly would appreciate it if you guys are liking it so far. I had Airbnb on my top stocks to watch for Sunday, for Stock Watch Sunday in my Chaos crew over at patreon.com/ownthechaos. The link's in the description. If you guys weren't privy to this information before today's earnings, you would have heard about it on Sunday and you would have made your money back for the month because it's only $5. So please help me out, help support the channel, help support me and my content efforts here. Go to patreon.com, sign up there, and you get your 5 stocks that I'm watching throughout the week every Sunday evening before the market opens. I have I had Airbnb on here. I also had Toast, which has had a hell of a week so far. It's been amazing. I will not give you the other 3. you want to learn about the other three, go check it out over at patreon.com/onlychaos. We'd love to have you guys over there. Lots of people asking about Livent. I didn't even know Livent was really all that popular, but now I have more than one request about it. LTHM. I'm not familiar with this company all that much. I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it. Estimated earnings per share were 37 cents, 239.28 million. Let me pull up the chart here. It looks like a lithium play, I'm guessing. No real movement on that right now. I can check out LTHM is the ticker symbol there. Looks like they came in at 40 cents per share, the 38-cent estimate, beating that 30-cent estimate. Sales came in at 219.4 million, missed the 2.39 estimate, so that's not good for Livent. I'll take a look at some other stuff for them. GAAP net income was 82.7 million compared to 77.6 that was expected, so that is a beat. Adjusted EBITDA came in at 107.6 million, 3% below the previous quarter. So not really. It looks like a mixed quarter for Livent. Probably not all that exciting for anybody else that is either holding that stock or thought about buying it. Upstart's now at 4.6%. No, it's not. Just kidding. I was looking at where it closed at today. Still halted. Here's your Upstart chart. Still halted on that 5-minute chart. So we're just going to wait to see the movement on this. But Upstart did come out with their earnings. They came in at a loss of 25 cents. The expectation, I believe, was a loss of 47 cents. Revenue of 146.91 million. They beat that estimate by about 15 or 14 million. Still a real strong slowing of growth, to be fair. Transaction volume and conversion rate. Lending partners originated 154,478 loans, totaling $1.5 billion across the platform in the fourth quarter. That's down 62% from the same quarter of the prior year. Still ugly, but I still think this is also a situation in which it could potentially be. Remember, the stock's has a 40% short interest. This could potentially be a situation in which it's not as bad as what people were expecting, which could incite a rally. We'll see. Let me read a little bit more down this report. Conversion rate on requests was 11% in the fourth quarter of 2022, down from 24% in the same quarter of the prior year. Adjusted EBITDA was 16.6 million, down from 91 million in the same quarter of the prior year. The fourth quarter 2022 adjusted EBITDA margin was 11% of total revenue, down from 30% in the same quarter of 2022. This is just ugly. Upstart repurchased 1.4 million shares, totaling approximately $28 million of their own shares. Here's your Q1 2023 outlook. Revenue of approximately $100 million. Revenue from fees, approximately $110 million. Net interest income or loss of approximately $10 million. So there's a loss of $10 million. Contribution margin of approximately 55%. Net income loss of approximately $145 million. These, I think, come in below expectations, which could crush the stock. It's still halted right now. So I feel like you created a lot of angst for some Upstart holders right now, because the reaction could go either way, I think, based off of those earnings numbers. The guidance here, I think, probably crushes Upstart. I don't think that Upstart's going to have a good day. But as I'd mentioned before, 40% short interest could create some short covering. All right. Checking in on some of the comments here. Actually, let me check in on the poll. So I put out a poll before the stream. 120 of you guys have voted so far. 41% of you bought before earnings. So you guys are having a great day on Airbnb. 16% of you plan on buying after earnings. I'm assuming that you may, and let me know in the comments, even after this 11% move after hours, do you still plan to buy an Airbnb or no? Just out of curiosity. 24% of you sold before earnings. Do you feel bad about that for those 24% of you that sold before earnings? And 20% of you have been holding through. And so exercising a little bit of patience there. Hit that thumbs up if you guys are enjoying the stream so far. Let me check on some of the comments. Steve Coleman says, how many bought puts on Airbnb on the Super Bowl article? I almost did, but the account was not high enough, so I'm glad it did not. Yeah, there's a lot of that in social media. People talking about how they, couldn't fill their Airbnb listings in Arizona for the Super Bowl, which I also found a bit sus. Others are diluting like crazy, and Upstart buys back 7% of the float in the biggest shit show of earnings ever, says Saldra. No shit. The irony, right? Let me check back in on Upstart's move here. Still nothing. All right, so revisiting Airbnb here, and the stock's now up 11%. If you guys are just tuning in, they crushed it. I mean, absolutely annihilated earnings. Coming in at 48 cents. They beat that earnings estimate by 21 cents. Revenue came in at 1.9 billion, a 24.2% year-over-year growth, and beats expectations there by $40 million. Gross booking value of $13.5 billion. That's a 20% growth year-over-year. Nights and experiences booked 88.2 million. That's another 20% growth year-over-year. Average daily rates, or ADR, was $153, so it's $153 a day or night in Q4. That's a 1% fall from Q4 2021, excluding the impact of foreign exchange. You exclude the impact of foreign exchange, ADR in Q4 2022 actually increased 5% from Q4 in 21. So really good stuff. And here is the highlight of these earnings. Airbnb for the current quarter that we are in right now. Guidance for the current quarter, revenue of 1.75 to 1.82 billion. Consensus was 169. So the expectation for revenue in the current quarter that we're in was 1.69 billion, and Airbnb is forecasting $10 billion above that. That to me is the highlight. One of the big reasons why this stock is up 10% after already being up 40% on the year this year. My goodness. Absolutely nuts. And congrats to those longs on Airbnb. Unbelievable. Carvana was 400 as well and is now about $10. But Danny Alvarado, I just made the argument about short squeezes, and that's what happened to Carvana, right? So as mentioned, I'm not saying Upstart is something that you have to go all in on, and it's a great long-term investment. I'm not making that argument. I'm just making the argument that we could see a potential short squeeze with something like Upstart because of the extremely high short interest on that stock. John Cochran says, Airbnb will go down to close the gap tomorrow. Airbnb is going to make a 10% drop tomorrow? I don't know about that. Tony B says, Tara Sweat says, do you think Airbnb will keep going up? I have been trying to figure out when to sell and diversify more as a long-term holder since 2019. That's a good question. I guess it depends on how much you're looking to diversify. Tara. You've been holding since 2019. So pre-IPO, you've been holding on to shares. Trying to figure out when to sell and diversify. I guess it depends on how much your shares are worth right now. How much money have you actually made on Airbnb, if you've made any, and what you plan on doing with that money. Like, what do you plan to diversify it with? So there's a lot of questions that come out of that one question that need to be answered, of course. Nima Dog holding Airbnb forever till 200. Airbnb will go. Already said that one. Bodie Beard asked about Devon Energy. Yeah, Devon reported earnings as well. As we await Upstart to start trading again, we can take a look at Devon Energy. They're down 4% here after hours, which is interesting because Devon usually does pretty well on earnings. But for whatever reason, not performing well today. They came in Q4 earnings, free cash flow of 1.1 1.11 billion. The estimate was 1.1, so just barely about $10 million that they beat on free cash flow. Core earnings per share, $1.83 versus $1.76, so they beat that. Monthly production, 636, 4.1% year-over-year growth there. Let me just see what else I can find in this earnings report for Devon Energy. It's trying to call its way back a little bit. So let me this is from Seeking Alpha. So let me redact my recent statement on Devon Energy's earnings. It looks as if, according to Seeking Alpha, that they missed earnings per share by 9 cents. They come in at $1.66. Revenue was $4.3 billion. That is a beat by $10 million. So I was on with that one. The 2023 outlook was probably why the stock is selling off. For the full year of 2023, Devon expects to sustain production in the range of 643,000 to 663,000 BOE per day. Total capital investment for the year is expected to range from 3.6 billion to 3.8. I believe that is a miss on expectations. Capital requirements in 23 are estimated to be self-funded at pricing levels as low as $40 of WTI, so that's their break even. The company's capital program in 2023 is weighted towards the first half of the year. That's an interesting, so the self-funded at pricing levels as low as $40. I believe Marathon Oil is at like 35. I think Exxon's somewhere around there too. Nevertheless, this could still be an opportunity for Devon Energy investors. Revenue growth for Devon Energy is 40%, or sorry, 80% year over year, and forward PE on this is 7.5 times for Devon Energy. It's still cheap ass stock, so that could be an opportunity there. TripAdvisor, I didn't give you guys the numbers on TripAdvisor. Let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. Ticker symbol TRIP, easy enough to remember. They came in with expectations of 4 cents per share, $344 million. It was expected on their revenue, and they came in at 16 cents, so they beat that by 12 cents. Man, 4 cents was the expectation, remember? Revenue of 354, or 46.9% year-over-year growth. They beat that estimate by 9.76 million, and so that stock is moving up here after hours as well. So travel's doing well, unless you own Expedia. I don't know how they ended up shitting the bed there. Expedia is still trying to blame the weather, I guess. Zoldra says last earnings, Upstart went down 30% and then rallied almost 100% over the week with dog shit earnings. Again, that's my point, right? I mean, we could be looking at, potential short squeeze no matter what on Upstart. Thiago Santos says eventually the market will crash for a healthier recovery. Well, that's like saying eventually it's going to rain outside tomorrow, or eventually it's going to rain outside at some point. We're going to see rain some point. Broken clock is right twice a day. Kind of a weird thing to say. Talking about the overall market, we can talk about that in a moment. I'm actually going to open up the phone lines. If you guys want to chat about what's going on in the market, feel free to call in. Upstart call in 1 minute, says Zoldra. Thoughts on Cisco? Does Cisco have earnings tomorrow? I didn't think they did. I like Cisco. I think it's undervalued, but it doesn't mean that it's going to go up. Let me just confirm about Cisco. I don't think they do have earnings tomorrow. I could be wrong, but earnings whispers has been kind of weird lately. I mean, they usually would tell me if Cisco has earnings tomorrow. I don't see that they do. Oh, they do have earnings tomorrow. I stand corrected. You're right. I like Cisco. I think Cisco's undervalued. I'll give you the expectations for Cisco here real quick. I have it pulled up. So Estimated earnings per share for Cisco tomorrow is 86 cents, $13.41 billion in revenue. The valuation on Cisco, Cisco, by the way, used to be the largest stock in the stock market. Pre-dot-com bubble, this is biggest company by market cap, which is crazy to think about. Forward PE on this is 13.5 times next year's earnings. It's still cheap in my opinion. Cheap. I like it. But it's always risky going into earnings, right? So be careful. So tomorrow before the open, I will not be able to go live with you guys pre-market tomorrow. But Roblox, the Trade Desk, Generac, Biogen, Krispy Kreme are all reporting earnings. Tomorrow afternoon is going to be a big day, though. Shopify, Roku, Cisco, Marathon, Albemarle, Twilio, a couple other ones, SunPower as well is going to be reporting. So you guys aren't going to want to miss that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified when I go live tomorrow at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. I would love to have you guys join me tomorrow afternoon and react to those earnings. You're not going to want to miss that. I'm going to open up the phone lines here in just a moment. As we await Upstart to start moving, it's still suspended. Upstart is. If you guys are just joining in, Airbnb came in and absolutely crushed earnings. It's giving back some of those gains, but just crushed it and really crushed the expectations for guidance as well. Guidance is really the story here for Airbnb. They came in and much higher than expectations for the current quarter that we're in. Roger Osagura says, I'm buying Devon dip. Not if it falls below 58. Sorry. Falls below 58. All right. Guys, hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. If you're enjoying the stream so far, I go live Monday through Thursday, and I do Friday mornings as well with Don from the Don Fron Show. He's usually my special guest on Fridays. Would love to have you guys chilling out with me in my live streams. I also put out various videos on all kinds of expectations and what have you. Would love to have you guys just help me grow my community. So please feel free to do that. Would love to have you guys hang out. All right, let's go ahead. I want to make sure one thing before. All right, so here is telephone number. Give me a call at 630-296-7652. If you guys have questions about today or any other upcoming questions, would love to have you guys on the show. Be a part of today's live stream. I see a lot of you guys asking about Upstart. Upstart's still suspended. They came in really kind of bad earnings for the most part on guidance. They beat earnings per share, but it was a low bar that was set. Guidance is where they came in and fell short, and so that could really kind of hurt the stock. There's a couple of arguments I made to the other side of this, though. If you are a bull on Upstart, I got good news for you. There's a 40% short interest on this thing. So you look at a bad company that is experiencing bad growth, and they come in and actually beat expectations, that could spark something of a short squeeze. So I'm not saying that will for sure happen, but you can't overlook the fact that this has 40% short interest. That is a short squeeze candidate, and there's no going away from that. Guys, feel free to give me a call if you have any questions. 630-296. 296-7652. Would love to have you guys join the stream. I think that I opened up the line. I do have a habit of not opening up the line and telling you guys to call. So I just wanted to make sure. Um, do not disturb is off. It looks like so. Looks like we should be good. I think. Try calling. If it gives you a problem, I'll double check. But looks like we're good. Upstart. Looks like it's gapping down here. It's now down 10%. All right, looks like we have our first caller. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to Own the Kiosk. Who's this? Oh, hold on one second. Go ahead.
Hey, bud, it's Snookaroo.
Hey, what's up? What's going on, man?
Nada, man. Would you be a buyer of Airbnb at this price?
That's a great question. You know, I would say let's go ahead and take a look at Airbnb's chart right now. So on the weekly chart, there's a very high chance that Airbnb is going to close above the 50-week moving average for the first time in a long time. First time since April of last year. It'll be above the 50-week moving average. So momentum is certainly on its side for it to continue to go up. But the hesitation is certainly there, right? Because it's already up 50% since the beginning of the year. That's, of course, going to give you a lot of concern. What I would say is we have one other resistance that this could potentially break. The stock's sitting at 132.50 in after hours. If it closes above, by the end of the week, if it closes above 126.74, and starts to make its way to that 138 resistance, I would say that it could still be somewhat, I want to say safe, but I would say if you're looking to get a starting position and it holds that 126 support and that 50-week moving average, I would say that it would be reasonable to think that you could get in at least with a starting position and start to grow a position from there. Does that make sense?
The 126.74, that's the 50.
So 126 is a price action support here. So if I go on the weekly chart, 126 seems to be that area of support where it's retested before, and it was coming up to that as a resistance until today. And today it's well above that at 132. So if we see some profit taking tomorrow or for the rest of the week and it holds that 126, I would say that that's probably a strong indication that we could see this move higher from that 126 level, and it's going to close above that 50-week moving average. So that's where I would consider getting a starting position is around 126 if it holds those levels.
Cool.
Appreciate
cool beans, man. The only other question I have for you, you know what time the call is today?
For Airbnb, I think it's going to, I'm not sure, but I think it's usually around 5 o'clock Eastern time.
Cool.
So thanks for calling in, man. I want to tune back into Upstart. Looks like we got some more movement on there, but appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man.
All right. So, Snooker, that was cool. That was awesome. Thanks for calling in, man. I also had this connected to my, there we go. That should be connecting now. So guys, feel free to call in. You guys want to call in and chat about today's events, some crazy moves here in the market. Let's check back in with Upstart. And it looks as if this stock is not doing well at all. We saw a brief move to the upside and it actually closed above the high of the day today, but falling back yet again. It's now down 8% after hours. This was suspended for quite some time. If you guys didn't catch the news on Upstart, we had some really decent moves on it, but still red right now. They came in with a loss of 25 cents. The estimate was a loss of 47. So really decent beat as far as earnings per share are concerned. That probably has a lot to do with the massive layoff they've had. They laid off 20% of their employees. Revenue of 146.91 million. That is a loss of growth of 52% year over year. They beat that estimate though on revenue by 14 million. So again, one of those situations where you got to wonder if it's not so bad as people were expecting that the stock could go up. Transaction volume and conversion rate, lending partners originated 154,478 loans totaling $1.5 billion across the platform for the fourth quarter. That's down 62% from the same quarter of the prior year. That is just not good. The real kicker here was guidance, missing on guidance. Revenue of approximately $100 million revenue from fees of approximately 110 million, net interest income of approximately 10 million, contribution margin of approximately 55%. You got to wonder too if this is like setting the bar low, because they crushed earnings expectations for the quarter that they're reporting. And now for the guidance, they come in light, like really light. So you almost have to wonder if there is some sort of low situation. They're setting the bar low here. So that's what I would assume anyway. Uncultured Currency says I can't buy anything that is up 50 to 100% in a month. Doesn't seem to be sustainable. You also have to think about where it's come from, though. Uncultured Currency. It was literally at its bottom. Airbnb. We're talking about Airbnb. It was literally at its bottom in December. I certainly understand your hesitation. And it's not sustainable for it to just continue to move up. I'm not saying that Airbnb is going to move up another 50%. I think that's certainly unreasonable to think that that would happen. But, you know, I think that it should be interesting anyway. Uh-oh. Looks like I'm losing internet. Am I back? Looks like I might be back. Maybe. Oh no. Well, I'm connected. I think we might be back. Am I back now? Test, test, test. No. Looks like it might be back. Everybody refresh. Lag every couple seconds. All right. Well, then that's probably a good place to cut it off. So if you guys can hear me, let me know what you guys think about today's stream. So what I was saying about Airbnb anyway, I'll finish my thought for Uncultured Currency. Airbnb, I think you have to consider where it came from. I think that it's going to be one of those situations in which it was at its bottom. It's moved 50%. We could see a leveling off, but I think we do see it move higher. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw 70% year-to-date returns on something like Airbnb, considering literally on the end of December, it was at its bottom, and it was lagging the rest of the market on the move up. So those are my thoughts on Airbnb. But anyhow, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon. We're going to react to a lot of really big names here: Shopify, Roku, Cisco, Marathon, Twilio, and others. And that's going to do it for today's stream. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that join button next to subscribe, or go check me out at patreon.com/ownthechaos. Get your Stock Watch Sunday fill. And thanks so much again. I'll see you all tomorrow.